You know, it feels like you can't scroll through your phone or even just chat with friends without hearing about Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro. It's wild. In just a couple of years, these GLP-1 drugs have gone from being specific medical treatments to this massive cultural phenomenon. And when you stop and think about it, it's not hard to see why they're so appealing.
And wow, this really hits home, right? It just perfectly captures that feeling of being completely worn out by dieting, by that constant battle with willpower. So the promise of a pill that can just quiet all that food noise and make the struggle disappear, I mean, that feels absolutely revolutionary. It's sold as this almost effortless fix for a problem that, for so many people, has felt impossible their entire lives.
But that leads us to this really important question. Because there's a huge difference between just silencing a signal and taking the time to understand what's causing that signal in the first place. And the answer, as you're about to see, is way more complex than it looks on the surface.
So to really get what's going on, we gotta pop the hood and look at the science. How in the world do these drugs actually work their magic? Well, the whole story starts with a hormone that your own body is making, right now, every single day.
Okay, so GLP-1. This is a major player in your body's internal communication system. Think of it like a messenger that gets sent out from your gut right after you eat. It travels over to your pancreas and up to your brain, and it basically says, hey, we've got fuel coming in, let's manage it. It signals that you're full, it slows things down, and then, and this is super important, it fades away. Job done.
And this is where things get really interesting. The drugs are designed to be mimics of your natural GLP-1, but with one huge change. They've been chemically tweaked so they don't break down. So instead of a signal that lasts for a few minutes, you get a signal that is screaming for days. This constant, long-lasting signal is the engine driving everything, both the amazing results and all the potential side effects.
And get this, the origin story is kind of wild. It all started with scientists studying the saliva of the Gila monster. From there, they developed a powerful treatment for type 2 diabetes. The weight loss? That was just a side effect at first. And this history is so critical because it's a reminder that these drugs were designed from the ground up as really potent metabolic tools for a specific disease, not as an everyday lifestyle product.
Right, so what does that all mean? The big takeaway is that this mechanism works by basically overriding your body's natural ebb and flow, and anytime you do that, anytime you override a natural system, there are going to be trade-offs. Which brings us, of course, to the risks and the side effects.
You know, when you fundamentally slow down your entire digestive system, these side effects, well, they aren't a bug, they're a feature. It's the mechanism at work. They are the direct result of the drug changing your body's natural rhythm. For some people, these things fade over time, but for others, they can be a real persistent problem.
Now, here's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and it's a huge long-term concern. When your appetite is so suppressed that you're barely eating, especially not enough protein, your body doesn't just burn fat, it starts breaking down muscle for energy too. And losing muscle is a big deal because it slows down your metabolism, which is basically the engine that burns calories. That can make it so much harder to keep the weight off if you ever stop the medication. So because of these known side effects, a new trend has started to pop up, microdosing. The idea is, hey, if I take a smaller amount, I'll get milder effects with fewer risks. But we have to be crystal clear about this. This is an off-label use, meaning it is not approved by regulators for this purpose, and it is completely experimental. And here is why that is so important to understand. Taking a lower dose does not change the fundamental way the drug works. It is still suppression. Digestion is still being slowed, those hunger signals are still being altered, and your body's natural process is still being overwritten. We simply don't know what the long-term effects of doing that are.
Okay, so all of that brings us to a totally different way of thinking about this. Instead of trying to force your body's signals into silence, what if the goal was to support the very systems that regulate those signals naturally? This is what we call the path of regulation.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. It's a choice between control versus cooperation. The path of suppression needs a constant outside force to keep hunger turned down. But the path of regulation? That's all about building internal stability so that your body can learn to manage itself, building trust along the way.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it usually focuses on these 4 pillars. By making sure you're balancing your blood sugar with nourishing meals, supporting your gut health so those signals are clear, preserving your muscle with movement and protein, and calming your nervous system with good sleep and stress care, you're not fighting hunger. You're actually getting to the root causes of why it might be out of whack in the first place. The result? naturally calmer, more predictable appetite signals. So we've laid out these two very different paths, right? The path of suppression and the path of regulation. And the point of all this isn't to tell you which one you should take, not at all. It's to give you the clarity you need to make a truly informed choice for yourself. Because at the end of the day, this is your call. And it has to be. Health is just not a one-size-fits-all thing. Our goal here is simply to hand you the context, to help you choose the path that feels authentic and right for your body, for your history, and for your own personal vision of what it means to be well.
And that leaves us right back where we started, but now with a much deeper question. It's a question that goes way beyond the science and the side effects, and it gets right to the heart of what you might truly be looking for. Is the goal just to quiet the noise your body is making? Or is it maybe to finally learn the language it's speaking?